get back to your other rooms, which are much more comfortable than everybody standing here. So thank you to all of you for coming, and also for being patient with us as we organize this for the first time. We haven't been great at telling you guys what was going to happen. It was supposed to be a surprise. All of you made it. Well, to keep this short, can I give you why are we doing this? And when we kind of started the program at the University of Chicago 4 summers ago around data science for social good, the idea was to really help do a few things. One is train people, train students, as well as governments and nonprofits on how to better use data for policy making, for social impact, to create a community that starts doing it and then kind of goes on with or without us. And the summer fellowship is really much more focused on the first part, training students. And we've started to do a little bit better job of training and working with our partners. But we thought we could have this conference as this community grows, right? So this is me an hour before this conference searching for data science for social good. And it's actually trending. Not on these Twitter useless things. Like, Twitter is too new for social good. But if you go to traditional sources of social good, like Google, this is Joe and I do this every few months, where we'll search for that to see, is anybody else searching for that? Or is it just our peaks showing up? And let's see, actually I have it forever. Okay, well, internet probably, so. Yeah, no, there's too much data here. We have to record the database first, put in our maybe will show up someday. No, anyway. So yeah, trust me when I say it's trending, it's trending.
Just search for it.
Yeah, just search for it, exactly. So it turns out that, when we were doing these things, picking sort of a name that's a buzzword for a buzzword, other people thought those buzzwords sound really good, and started adding to those buzzwords. So after we started in 2013 and 2014, Georgia Tech started a very similar program, and we actually have one of the fellows this year who was in that program. And then University of Washington, we have several people, and they'll be giving talks tomorrow. They started a program in 2015. IBM started one this summer. There are a bunch of these workshops, conferences. Bloomberg is doing one, and there's a bunch of these other things that started happening. So what we started noticing was people were doing this thing in an effective way, but it was sort of scattered. So that let's start having a place where we can talk about what are the challenges we're facing, what are the successes, right? So basically not just highlight successes. What we want to do today is really cover those things. Right? So today and tomorrow one is focus a little bit more on training. So that's what today is going to be focused on, is running a few workshops over the afternoon. And then tomorrow is going to be highlighting some of the successes, case studies, very early successes, because a lot of this work hasn't been going on for long enough for us to say, here's evidence that we've improved X by 20% over a 10-year period. But some of the early successes of what's happening. And then this is the problem that I'm too excited about, is having people, because often a lot of us with these types of tech and data skills can hallucinate problems and come up with solutions that don't really need to be built. So we want to make sure very much that we've got our partners around from government agencies and nonprofits and other places to help us think through what are the challenges they're facing. Because it's not about data first, it's about problem first. And that's sort of going to be one of the focuses again tomorrow. What are the problems, what are the challenges that we should be focusing on? And then as these two things start happening, as we start focusing on real problems and trying to solve them to have an impact, a lot of issues and concerns pop up that didn't pop up before. Issues around ethics and fairness and bias and transparency. And how do you seed these things, how do they grow up to be adults that can sustain themselves rather than being, fed throughout. So that's going to be the last part of tomorrow is really having a lot of discussion groups around these topics so that we can all kind of talk about those things. So quickly going over the schedule for the rest of the day and a half. That is, so the afternoon is training workshops. What we decided to do was run 3 workshops. And it's really sort of starts off from here of, do you have the right data in order to do any of these projects? And if you don't, what should you be looking to collect, at what level, for what types of answers you're looking for, right? So that's a data maturity framework, and Benedict and Jane will be running that workshop. Lauren and Joe, so that's Jane, and Benedict is over there. He's been sitting all night in front of a printer, printing out worksheets. And so Lauren and Joe are, and Joe's guarding the door outside to be sure, will be running on project scoping. And we found that this has been a critical, both a learning experience, but also we've really spent a lot of time on. Basically 6 months before a project starts in the summer, we spend 6 months for doing these for a bunch of projects. So we want to get out of that and get you guys to do it. And so if we can start teaching people how to scope these projects, that makes a lot of this work much more effective, because often what we find is if you take a person from the university or a tech background and put it together with a person from a government nonprofit, you would think good things would happen, but not much happens. And they go away thinking the other side is completely useless. And what we find is like this is the missing piece of it. And so can we make those conversations more useful so they result in projects that hopefully can have more impact? And so that's going to be the second workshop. And the third one is more around the data science 101. What can you do? What can you not do? And lots of case studies over the past few years, projects that we've seen happen, and going deeper into one of the projects. And then we're going to run them over and over and over. So it'll be 3 workshops done 3 times. People can pick. There's no order to it, so you can pick whichever one you want to go first, second, third. And I'm just going to switch over to the actual schedule. Okay, so that's the, now things over here finish around 4. And then, because it's so nice outside, we want to give you a walk. And so we're going to have, so normally what we've done for the past 3 summers is we've just had this event, which is called Data Fest. And that is all of the 12 teams that have been working in the fellowship over the summer. They each sort of talk about their projects for 3 to 4 minutes. And then there is this science fair type setup where they each have their stations and people spend time kind of interacting with them. So that's going to be that event that's sort of starting at 5, and that's about 1.3 miles from here. It's just if you go on Michigan Avenue, it's south all the way, so you can do any of these things depending on your preference. That starts, so you have time between 4 and 5 to get there, and then that's going to end with reception, food, drinks. So that's today. And then tomorrow we start again about 9 o'clock. And we have three tracks happening. One is presentations from other data science associated programs around the US. So University of Washington's program has several talks they're giving, Georgia Tech, and then the IBM program. These are going to be mostly 5-minute talks, so it'll be really quick. If they're bad, they'll be quick. If they're good, you'll have lots of time for questions afterwards. Most of them will probably be good. The second, second session is on data science challenges. So basically, they're less data science challenges, they're urban challenges that we think data can help solve. So we've got a few people from different cities and government agencies, as well as 2 people from more work cities who've been working with Fort Lauderdale and Jackson. And the format for this will be, they'll give sort of short talks, and then there'll be a following panel that they'll be part of. And then the last session is focused more on health and public safety, where we'll have a few different talks going on there. The third break will be a couple of panels talking about, one, what does it mean to do social good? What is, as we get into some of these, it's priming some of the discussion sessions in the afternoon, and then collaborations between universities and cities trying to do this work together. There is a break for lunch. We've kept this break long, one to give you guys a chance to talk to each other, but also we'll have posters set up in these two rooms, and lunch will be distributed. We'll have lunch outside, so you can get out into the scary sun if it's there. You don't think it's going to be there tomorrow. Get food. We'll have box lunches outside, and then you guys can hang out in these poster sessions. The last thing during the day will be these discussion sessions. So we've got an hour and a half where we've come up with these 6 topics that people have proposed, and then each topic has 2 facilitators. And so these we expect to be small groups of people thinking about. There's no sort of talk. It's mostly discussion points that you will talk through. And our intention sort of is that out of each discussion group will come out some sort of not a consensus, but some thoughts around how do you think about this issue, what are the challenges, what are the opportunities. So we want to give some time to the people facilitating them to come up with some of the issues that come out there, and then present that in a half-an-hour session towards the end, and then we'll wrap up around 5 o'clock. Then another short walk from that might be a 19-minute walk. But so we'll go back to our summer office for a happy hour and continue these discussions there. So that's the plan for the rest of today and tomorrow. Yeah. So we're gonna now basically break up into these workshops. So the room, this is gonna be supposed to be 200, right? This one's gonna be here, right? Okay. Yeah. So great. Yeah. So this is actually, we'll correct that, but this is gonna be in this room, and then 206 and 208 will have 2 other ones. Thank you again, guys, for coming. And if you have any feedback on how you want the next iterations of these to happen, feel free to find any of us and come talk to us.
And this is to make everyone all talk to each other too. So ask questions in all sessions, talk to people, introduce yourselves.
Yeah, most people aren't very sure.
Yeah,
And if
everyone's
anybody
nice.
knows